Welcome back to the Milestone Moment, where we take top producing agents, ask them about how they got into real estate and the moment it all changed for them. Today we have Nick Chambers with Compass Real Estate. Nick, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Adrian. Excited to be here.
So tell us about your background a little bit. Obviously, I know quite a bit about you, but for our viewers, how did you get into real estate? What's your background kind of before real estate? Tell us about your story.
Yeah, my entrance into real estate honestly probably started in college. Okay. I got accepted into Premed. Wow. My first kind of year into it, I realized I really don't like memorizing things. Like, memorize the cellular structure, all these things.
It's so advanced.
Yeah. And what I ended up being was kind of the idea guy, right? Like, wouldn't it be cool if, So I transferred majors about halfway through. My mom loved that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, pre-med to business and
Learning
sociology.
how to be a salesman right there.
Oh, man. So happy. And it was my senior year, and they started having just alumni come through. Okay. Just talking about what they're doing, kind of what the life is like when you get out of college. Yeah. And I just kind of started noticing this trend where everyone that either seemed like they were super happy or loved what they did or were like showed some signs of success were in real estate. Okay. Some
different levels.
Different levels, yeah. Commercial, lenders, you kind of name it. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I want that. Like, that looks awesome. Yeah. And so out of college, contacted one of the alumni and got a job as a lender. Which lasted about 3 months. It was with Countrywide Home Loans.
Oh, no.
Yep, 2008. And
yeah.
I showed up to work and was greeted by a security officer holding a box, walked me to my computer, and it's just like, see you later. So that was my first entrance into real estate.
Yeah. Interesting. And then you went into real estate from there, or tried to find another lender, or floundered because that's a hard time to find any job in the world of lending or real estate.
And I had a quick education that just because you have a college degree, you can't get any jobs. So it's just a big smack in the face of like waking me up to reality. Right. But no, the only like type of job that I can find that was hiring was tech. Okay. And so my roommate got a job at this tech company. He got me a job, and for the next like 8 to 10 years, kind of put my head down. And I had a bunch of student debt, and so I was able to pay it off, like working through tech, and got to a point where it's like I started getting excited about real estate, thinking about investing again, and watching a lot of HD TV. I think it was Dan Miller, if I remember right. Came to Seattle, and he's hosting this show where it's just like, I will teach you how to flip homes. Sure. So I'm like, I'm in. Yeah. I sign up for it, pay the $100 for a class, and get all this like great information. And at the very end of it, he pitches you like 20 grand, and you get my diamond level stuff. Right. Come to Vegas, do all these things.
There's more.
There's more. And I'm just like, oh man, like that's how much I saved up to invest. And so at the same time, I've been on this community, biggerpockets.com, which was like in its infantile state at that point. And I reached out to Brandon Turner, who's one of the main guys on the podcast at this time, and told him, it's like, hey, I got 20 grand. Should I do this class? Or like, what do you recommend? Yeah. And he said, I think you would learn a lot more spending the 20 grand on a flip or a rental, whatever you want to do, and get your education that way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's what I did. Bought my first flip.
Okay.
Yeah. And it didn't go exactly how I expected.
Probably more than 20 grand.
You're kind of noticing a trend here. Like I get my education a little bit hard.
Some bumps and bruises, like the school of hard knocks.
School of hard knocks.
Your mom's like, I told you so.
I know. Should have been a doctor, son. Yeah. So I'm in there, and day 2, it's sledgehammer. I am like in heaven, like I'm doing it. I'm an investor. Like I'm knocking down a wall. I'm pulling out carpet. And then we get to the spot where it's like, okay, it's time to rebuild. And so we start with plumbing, and I'm like, oh man, I think it's supposed to be sloping this way, and I can't figure out how to do it. It's like, better call a plumber. Yeah. So then we go into tile, and I'm like, I break more tile than what we actually need.
Call Tyler.
I better call Tyler. The list goes on, drywall. And so finally we finish. It's this beautiful home. And I go back to my numbers forecasted on what I was going to make, which was about 30 grand. Yeah. And I input all the new numbers because I had to hire instead of doing everything myself. Yeah. And I would have walked away with $28.
No.
So I was like, okay, well, that's not going to work. So plan B.
But I learned a lot.
Yeah. Like, there goes that 20 grand. instead, how about we make it a rental? So I, ran numbers that way, and unfortunately, the market isn't what it was like when I first started. So I'd be losing $100 a month if I were to rent it.
Okay.
So I called my fiance at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, "Let's move into Redman."
Right.
And she was on board. She was a good sport about it, and we just.
Well, you just made it all nice anyway, right?
We made it all nice,
Beautiful
nicely
house.
home. Yep. So we moved in, saved up a bit, waited for the market to kind of catch up, and finally did. Rented it out and went on, bought the next one.
I love it.
Yep.
So you stumbled a bit, but you came through.
Yeah, learned.
And then now at that point, were you a full-time realtor, or how did that transition kind of happen?
No. So I didn't even have my real estate license at this point. I hired an agent, and it was getting to a spot where like real estate's picking back up. People are getting excited, and the numbers weren't quite looking as good as they were in like the big downturn. So I'm like, I'm gonna get my license, and that's how I'm gonna get these things to pencil. And so I did. Didn't quite sign up.
Mostly just for your personal stuff initially. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Wasn't going to like help really anybody.
Right.
Still working in tech, W-2, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And get my license, and I'm excited about it. It's like if I'm at work and it's lunchtime, I'm talking real estate. If I'm out of work, like I'm back like researching. I'm looking at properties and you name it. And got to a point where the agent who I was working with is like, hey, I got a client. They're interested in investing. Will you talk to them? I'm like, yeah. And people at work are like, hey, you want to talk to them? I'm like, yeah, this sounds great.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm going to put this on my LinkedIn profile and like, let's just kind of see where it goes. So finish up my license, pass my test, haven't found a brokerage yet, put it on LinkedIn. And a couple days later, the founder calls me into his office and he's a little upset. And I'm just like, what's going on? He's like, why did your LinkedIn profile, say like you're in real estate? I'm like, I've got this little side hustle, like flipping homes. And he's like, well, you got a choice to make. It's like, you can either stay with us.
No way.
Or we can let you go. And so I'm like, I got a third option. Like, I'm going to quit. And he's like, well, if you quit, you don't get unemployment. I'm like, okay, you can fire me then. And so I left.
Wow.
And then
that was the ultimatum of like, just,
ultimatum.
It doesn't make sense. Wow.
Yeah. So I just, I jumped with both feet in, and I didn't, when I was researching brokerages, I didn't understand like why people would pay all this money to go to like these like bigger name brokerages.
Right.
I'm just like, wow, these like online ones are like super sweet, like low cost, like they really pencil again, like this whole investor mindset. So
save everything. Invest it,
Yep, I can do it. And so I sign on with like one of these online brokerages, a little freaked out, no kids yet, just my wife and I. And next day I have this like acquaintance like, hey, I want to buy a house, not an investment, but just a house, but just want your take on it. So I'm super excited. And 3 days after that, they're like, let's write a contract. I'm like, awesome. Like, this is easy. Like, this job's so awesome. So they tell me, they're like, wow, we want to offer this much. I'm like, perfect. And I get off the phone with them, and it's just pure panic sets in. I was like, how do I write an offer? Like, no idea. And I'm like, all I asked them for was the offer price. I'm like, I don't know, like, what's going on right now? So called the broker, the designated broker, and I'm like, hey, what do I do? He's like, I'll just use these forms. You'll be good.
Simple, yeah.
Yep. And so
no support.
No support. And then I told him, it's like, dude, I don't even have an MLS login. Like, he's like, let me call you back in 2 hours. So long story short, he just didn't call back.
You're like, I need to find some support and find a place. And
so the agent that helped me buy homes, I basically like called him and told him the situation. He's like, just promise me you'll find a new brokerage and I'll walk you through this whole thing. And he did. And that was my entrance into real estate.
Oh, well, good friend to help you out and get you in the right spot.
Yeah, he was, for sure.
Wow, well, that's quite the interesting rocky path.
Yeah,
but I love
never
it.
A straight one. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And here you are. Obviously, you've built up quite the business. Mm-hmm. Through all of that, I guess, what would you consider? The premise of the show is the milestone moment. Yeah. Sometimes there's more than one, but a moment where you knew real estate was for you, or it all kind of clicked or changed. Maybe not on day one, but what do you think your milestone moment was?
I had a couple, and I was thinking about this. I knew you were going to ask this question, and I think the first milestone moment was the one where I got my first flip, right? And I was so pumped, so excited for that. It was fantastic, and even though it didn't like quite pencil the way it was, like I was never upset about it because I just had so much fun doing it. And then the second one for me was. I ended up joining a team. we kind of eventually went our separate ways, and I was out on my own. I had all these ideas, again, the idea guy,
right,
of what I can do and trying these things out, and they started working. They started clicking, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Like I love doing this. I love serving.
Right.
And so those would probably be the two for me.
I love
really
that.
enjoyed.
And then kind of grown it, and now you're on your own time, schedule and doing your thing and building your business.
Yeah, definitely. Solo agent, but got a great support team. I got a virtual assistant, transaction coordinator, just good like stagers, photography. I mean, you kind of name it. So
I love it.
You
obviously you probably sparse out some of your business. Although how do you get it all done? You've got your wife who's a nutritionist, writing books. You got your kids. Your real estate business, like what is it that you do to kind of, is that control chaos, or how do you manage it all?
It's so control chaos. I'd love to be like, I'm so dialed in, but I am not. It's just, we do the best we can. I have 3 young girls, and so it's a hard balance being like, to be the dad that wants to be there, but also, doing what I love as a career as well. And so I'm heavily invested in AI, big time.
Okay.
Just always looking for ways to optimize my calendar, and then also optimize my clients' time. That's kind of the main key thing that I'm looking for, because if I can optimize their time, it usually kind of comes back to me where I'm adding more value.
Yeah, I love that.
And then just good communication with my wife, good communication with my clients, and
shared calendar, all the thing, and
we just get it done, and just flexible and understanding.
Love it.
Yeah.
Gosh, well now, obviously you mentioned, so we're halfway through 2026.
Yeah.
A lot of times I ask agents, like, is there something you've either added to your business that you're going to continue on, or anything that you're excited about adding to your business later this year into next year that is different than what you maybe have done, or anything that you've added recently that's kind of been working that you're excited about?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's 2 things that I've added this year, and we'll see how they pan out. They're still pretty early infantile. I found an SEO guy that focuses purely on optimizing me for AI. Okay. And so when you're like searching, like, what are my closing costs or something for selling my home in Snoqualmie, my calculator should pop up, and I'm where the AI should be pulling information from. So haven't had any leads come from that yet, but that's kind of like an interesting angle that I've been exploring. We'll see kind of where that goes. And the other is I hired another VA to kind of like take on these different projects that I have, and supporting clients and partners. And it's his 4th week, and so it's just kind of a lot of organizing and cleanup right now. But excited for what's ahead.
That's the leverage that can bring. Okay. So obviously combining AI with some, obviously VA. Tried and true methods, and then growing some projects that you're working on.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're in a very interesting market. You've seen it from all angles, being a flipper, being in tech, being early in your career. What's some advice you're giving to either sellers right now about is it time to list, or buyers currently as far as potentially purchasing?
Yeah, I would say on the listing side, in this market, sell if you have to. If you don't have to, it's probably a good time to wait for a little bit. Let things iron out. But if you do have to sell, there's always a buyer. And for me, it just
at the right price and the right showing and all the things.
100%.
Yeah.
And it just comes down to trusting the data. And I'm not talking like Redfin and Zillow data. I usually have to back them off of that.
Right.
But actually like kind of get into what's actually behind it. What's actually going to get their home sold in terms of marketing, in terms of value. And really just setting up a plan that they can feel comfortable with. Transparency, where are they going? How can I help with the transition? Really all of that. On the buyer side, quite the opposite story. Like inventory is massive. Like it's your pick. I think the biggest challenge that I see with buyers right now is being decisive. There's just maybe a little too much options, or they're just kind of waiting for something better.
They get picky and they think they have all this time and take things for granted. And it's just challenging.
Totally, and it's one of those things where like this too shall pass. At some point, it's hard to predict like the perfect time to buy. So I'd say, if you can get 80% of your buy box on a house that you're excited about, man, go for it.
Yeah, and I think what I'm most excited about this market is it does separate the professionals like you as far as how to stage a property, getting it listing ready, all the things that you need to do to set the right price, because the right price home with the right strategy is still going multiple offers. We still see it, and then there's the ones that could be even in the same neighborhood that sit. It's like
100%.
Wild how much the right choice in an agent can mean for a lot of sellers that, like you talked about, going online and just thinking they can click a couple buttons, and that's not the world that you're in, right?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah. So any parting words for our guests? Like I said, we have a lot of newer agents that watch this show, so any advice for a new agent you might have, or anything that you wanted to kind of share with
new agents. I feel for you, because it's as soon as you get out of real estate school, like, you don't really know much about real estate, as I learned the hard way. And then it's tough. And then I think, what's the stat, like 3% of agents that actually try to go full-time make it. Right. And so the best advice that I would have is find a mentor, like a really, really strong mentor, not necessarily the brokerage, but a person, someone that's been doing it for at least 8 to 10 years in a market that you want to be in. And honestly, just figure out a way to help them do their job better. And I'm sure vast majority of agents out there are very helpful, wanting to help you grow, and you'll kind of format or put together a good relationship, and that'll put you on a great road to success.
I love that. Some great advice. Nick, you've been a great guest. Thanks for being on the show.
Good to see you, Adrian. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.